welcome everyone. I'm Kathy Harding, President and CEO of the Wyandotte Health Foundation and also Chair of the KCK Women's Chamber Network Advisory Committee.
On my headphones.
Today's topic, disruption, juggling life, career, and the completely unexpected. It seems to me is incredibly timely given where we're all at with our lives right now. And so I hope that you're like me, and I'm excited to learn from our speaker today about her experiences and possibly how those experiences can help me to better navigate today's uncertainty. So I'm excited to have her here today. Before we begin our program though, I would like to thank our presenting sponsors, Design Mechanical and BNSF Railway, along with our supporting sponsors, Amazon, KU Medical Center, Kansas Gas Service, Greater Kansas City Building and Trades Council, Trans Systems, Bank of America, and Tico Productions. So now I'll turn the program over to Kathy Honor. She is the chair of our program committee to introduce our speaker.
I'm excited to introduce our speaker today. Her name is Sabrina Wiewel. She is Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer at Hallmark Cards, Inc. In this role, Sabrina oversees a broad portfolio of corporate responsibilities, including leading Hallmark's corporate support functions like talent development, recruiting, employee relations, compensation and benefits, diversity and inclusion, and internal communications. Sabrina also oversees external relations, including corporate brand reputation, retailer communications, corporate foundation, and government affairs. Additionally, as if she needs more responsibilities, Sabrina leads Hallmark's licensing relationships, working to further the Hallmark brand through partnerships with corporations like Disney and Warner Brothers. Sabrina joined Hallmark in 1990 as a marketing strategist, but left to start her own sales and marketing consulting company, and later served in executive leadership positions with H&R Block. Sabrina rejoined Hallmark in 2011 as vice president and has been promoted to multiple roles, most recently in 2019, that of executive VP and chief administrative officer. Sabrina has been recognized as one of Kansas City Business Journal's Women Who Mean Business honorees and was included in the Biz Women's Top 100 Women to Watch, recognizing the top 100 female business leaders in the country. Sabrina serves on the board of directors for Enactus United States in Band of Angels and holds a bachelor's degree in communications and marketing from Central Missouri State University. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay, so my whole topic's about disruption, and let me just tell you that in the last 2 weeks, my life has been massively disruptive. My husband and I were diagnosed with COVID, and over Thanksgiving, I actually was in the hospital and had COVID pneumonia. So if you hear me coughing today, I'm going to do the best I can to get through this presentation, but I am still recovering from the pneumonia. And so I just wanted to let you all know that, but I could not be with all of you. So I was not going to cancel. I had such a good time when we were together about a year ago out at Sporting KC, and I was just honored that you guys invited me back. The last time we were together, it was a little over a year ago, we were talking about diversity and inclusion. And this time, I have to tell you, I know every one of you guys are probably saying 2020 cannot get over fast enough. But I will tell you that for Hallmark Cards, 2020 for us has been the a massive disruptive year, a year in which, I've never seen anything like it in my entire career. So what I'm hoping to do with you guys in the next half hour to 40 minutes, I'm just going to tell you a story. It's going to be chocked full of, I got some commercials and I got some sizzle reels and some things to hopefully keep everybody entertained, because Hallmark's a pretty fun company. We have some pretty fun content. But I'm going to talk to you guys through the disruption that we've been through. It's been massive. And I'm going to talk you through some of the things that we did. And I think some of you may be in the middle of some of this. And then I'm going to offer some time for just Q&A. So we'll keep it casual. Ask me anything that you guys want, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. For those of you that don't know me, I usually start out my presentation giving you just a little bit of background. So Jessica, I don't know if you can show my slides, but when I talk about disruption, it's really important for everyone to know that disruption happened to me from the very beginning of my life. And so my parents were my dad was an American GI and my mom is Japanese and from Nagasaki. And my mother was 9 years old and my family was living in the caves when there was a lot of gunfire in Nagasaki. And one day my mom came down from the caves and she was with my grandmother. She was 9 years old. She was with my grandmother. They were making food. And my mom looked up and saw the Enola Gay. And within a few minutes, she saw a flash of light. The atomic bomb had dropped, and many of my grandparents, friends, and family were killed that day. My mom remembers going back to the caves that day and lost all of her teeth and all of her hair, and really was, until she passed 10 years ago, was an atomic bomb survivor. And the last thing that my family would have wanted was for my mother to marry an American GI. So of course, my dad was stationed in Nagasaki, met my mother, and they got married. Now, there's a lot of cultural differences. My mom's Buddhist, my dad's Baptist, a lot of cultural differences between the Japanese and the Americans. And that's when I really learned when I was young about diversity. I learned that in Japan, people didn't want me to play because I was an American. They didn't want me to play with their kids. Then when I was here in Missouri, people didn't want me to play with their kids because I was Japanese. And so it was a really interesting dynamic as a child, very early on, for me to feel this disruption and for me to feel this passion around diversity and inclusion like I do. And there's no time like this last year that those two things really crashed together in my leadership style. And allowed me to make some decisions that I needed to make that were critical. I'm going to just set a quick foundation. Maybe you guys know this, maybe you don't. Hallmark actually has 3 major businesses. The business that you probably know and love the most are our cards and our ornaments and our gift wrap. Hopefully all of you guys have been out purchasing and have some of your Hallmark ornaments on your tree. And then that's the mainstay. And that is the company that was built right here in Kansas City. It was based on this core business. In the 1980s, we acquired Benny and Smith Crayola. So we acquired the Crayola business and have now had that as a wholly owned subsidiary since the 80s. And then recently, over the last few years, we actually acquired Crown Media. And so I think many of you, I hope, are hunkered at home and maybe watching 24/7 Hallmark movies. We're in our countdown to Christmas right now, and I know that hopefully it's bringing a lot of joy to your homes. But those are our 3 major businesses and 3 enterprises, and we are worldwide. So that's a little baseline for you on Hallmark. A little over a year ago, I was asked to take on this chief administrative officer role. And as Kathy shared with you, everything that was kind of in my portfolio included PR, it included communications, it includes government relations, etc. And exactly a year ago, when I took on this job, I woke up to a nightmare. On December 15th, my son was graduating from UMKC, and I will never forget that day because on Friday, we started receiving information from the New York Times that someone at Crown Media had actually pulled a couple of Zola ads. Zola is a wedding planning company, and they had a couple of ads on our TV channel that were same-sex female marriage in the ad. And we didn't know that someone had actually pulled that ad. And within about 24 hours, not only had the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, the Hollywood Reporter, everyone had gotten a hold of this, but Ellen began tweeting. We then on Saturday night were part of a Saturday Night Live skit. And so my very first 2 weeks on the job, I was dealing with a massive brand and PR crisis. And so we had to really lean on partnerships we had with the human resource, the HRC, the GLAAD, which is a gay and lesbian advocacy group that is good friends of ours, and we had to really rely on them. And then we had to hire an external PR firm to help us through this crisis. We, of course, immediately did the right thing, and we put the ads back on. I mean, we did the right thing. So I think if you go to the next slide, I apologize about my dog. Oh, sorry, Jessica, back one slide. Go ahead and go back one slide. So we immediately put the ad back on and did the right thing. And so that allowed us to kind of get the media a little bit off of us. However, Crown Media also had really non-diverse movies. And those non-diverse movies were also causing us to have a lot of press during that time. Sorry, I'm gonna get my dogs to stop. I apologize. All right, so really crazy December. I don't remember much of the December, and I don't remember having much of a Christmas. So then we fast forward to January, and as a company in January, we were doing some cost containment, and we were looking to downsize. Now, 400 jobs on 25,000 jobs isn't a lot, but anytime Hallmark lets anybody go, especially in Kansas City, we hit the press. So now we've just come off of kind of massive press, and then in January, we had some local press hit, and we had some associate issues. Then we continue, and in February, and end of January, beginning of February, we do part ways with our CEO of the channel. And when we parted ways, it created an influx of public relations firestorm again. So massive, massive disruption to our brand in the January timeframe. And people here in Kansas City think of us as the greeting card company, but right now, Hallmark Movies and the Hallmark Channel is a window into our brand. And so people see the Hallmark brand. Anytime there's a damage to the brand, it can come through any of those channels. And so, so we had a lot of repair work to do. All right, moving on. Everybody knows what happened in March. I'm sure you all can remember where you were. Many of us were on spring break, and things began to emerge around this coronavirus. And we quickly had to put together a task force because we had to begin to assess and shut down countries. We had to begin to assess and shut down facilities, factories, and all of these things were going to impact Christmas, back to school for Crayola, for example. Pennsylvania was hit pretty significantly. And we had to interpret the CARES Act. So my government affairs team was very, very active. We had to put protocols and screening into place. We had to shut down our headquarters and not have anybody come in. And we had to turn everybody into a remote work from home. We had to shut down movie where we were filming movies in Canada and Universal Studios. We had to send actors and actresses home. So when you think about kind of the magnitude of things that we had to do, we still had 15,000 people working in our field organization, putting cards on shelves at Walmart, Target, Hy-Vee, because all of the grocery stores and all the essential places were open. And so this was really, really complicated. And I know many of you, I'm sure, faced this, but we formalized a task force. We met every day. We had a coronavirus task force that met every day. We had screening protocols. We had escalation points. We had round the clock access to executives, but we met every single day and made decisions. And in fact, we continue to meet 3 times a week still. We had our coronavirus call this morning because as you see this second wave hitting, you know, we constantly have to make sure that we are staying on top of it. During this period of time, we're retail. We have movies, we have Crayola, crayon products. We didn't know what was going to happen to our business, especially the retail side of the business. The first few weeks of the coronavirus, our retail sales were down 80%. 80. We didn't know if we were going to have a company on the other side of this. So all the executives immediately took a pay cut. All the entire senior leadership team, we as we moved people into furlough, we burned through people's PTO first so they could be paid. We set up a fund, and we had people donate to a fund for the most needy of our employee base. And we did everything we could to keep everybody employed and have benefits for as long as we could, which means we had to make some pretty big policy decisions and really help our employees through a tough time. We heard from our CEO often. Jessica Noble, who's the head of our communications, made sure that there was a weekly video going out from our CEO to all the employees. And these were just things that were just kind of critical during this period of time. Moving on, Jessica. Now, the good news is that when you think about Hallmark and you think about caring, this was our moment. It was actually our time to be able to leverage our brand to put more caring in the world when people were scared and isolated and depressed and feeling like, they can't see people when connections are so important. So this is just a snapshot of our movie stars from our movies actually did little videos, and I'm just going to play one for you guys so you can see kind of what they did.
Hi everyone, it's Kelly Martin.
Hi everybody, I'm Viv Leacock. On behalf of Hallmark Channel and all of us at Haley Dean Mysteries, we'd like to express our deepest gratitude and respect for all of the doctors and nurses.
Everyone working at the grocery stores, keeping us fed and keeping us safe. So thank you so much for what you do. We will never forget it.
Everybody stay safe. See you soon.
Please use the hashtag #CareEnough if you want to join the conversation.
So we did a series of these with really, all of our stars that we had. And so, and we plugged this, we plugged this out and put this care out into the world. And we got such tremendous positive feedback about the care. So we said, all right, we need to put even more care into the world. We can actually help people stay connected by giving away 1 million cards. So we gave away 1 million cards, card packs actually, and so more than 1 million cards, but 1 million card packs, and encouraged people to send cards during that period of time. And they did. Our CEO ended up on Fox News. We ended up all over the press, very positive press around this. And we had people tweet, influencers, etc., about how grateful they were about what a card could do. We had cards that kids could color. We ran out of sidewalk chalk. We were running out of crayons because all the moms were at home with their kids and needed creativity. If you were one of them, thank you for keeping us in business during that time. But there was just a lot of creativity happening. And for us, being an artistic company and having Crayola, we started to see some digital things emerge and innovation emerge that we never imagined. And so we started doing DIY shows and having people tune in, and makers shows and all of these things. And so a lot of really cool innovation came out of this. Then the next thing we did is, of course, we quickly started making cards for the virus. I don't know if you see the Quarantini card, or you're like Netflix during a pandemic. But we also did these little signs that you can use during your Zoom calls, because we saw a lot of people needed coffee breaks and just fun ways to kind of enhance their Zoom calls. So these things started hitting our Hallmark stores and have just been selling off the shelves. So clearly people were looking for things like this. All right, keep going, Jessica. So then what we really found was our employees. Our employees were fatigued. A lot of them were at home with their kids. They were scared. The virus had a lot of people scared. So we spent a lot of time talking to our employees about self-care. We put a lot of things into place from a medical perspective, making sure people knew how to get access to whether it was a counselor or access to our medical, whatever it was that they needed, we made sure. And we just got this overwhelming response from our employees about how much they were juggling and how much they needed this. And so what we did was every month or so, we actually mandate and ask, but we kind of mandate that every leader picks up the phone and calls their employee. They need to call and reach out. This touch point of just saying hello to an employee was critical to us. Again, remember, we had parts of our organization shut down and then other parts not. Our plants were opening back up again, et cetera. And so, this was kind of a real crazy time for us. We had to leverage our government affairs team pretty significantly. We had to use the governors here to talk to the governors in Pennsylvania to reopen our plants for Crayola. We had to help with the CARES Act here with all of our retailers so they could get the PPP. So there was just a lot of work that the government affairs team had to do during this time as well to help our employees and to help our retailers. But our employees said to us, all of this communication and reach out and videos and town halls that we did, really, we were very transparent about the state of our business. We were doing these unknowns together, and we were keeping them posted every week. And so the communication piece was really, really critical. All right, Jessica, I think you can keep going here. Well, then we come to May, and we all see what starts to transpire with the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and this Black Lives Movement starts to really, really take the forefront for all of us. And we have always been a company very authentic in our D&I strategy. It's something I talked to all of you guys about over a year ago. But we immediately had our CEO put out a note to the company. And we wanted to make sure that our company knew that we saw everybody and that we were feeling this pain with them. And so it was very important for us to put out a message from our CEO. Then the next thing we did was we put together a 5-point plan. And this 5-point plan was for the entire enterprise. And what we did is we did elevated intentional learning. And what we meant by that is we curated everything from books to videos to TED Talks, and we put it in our website so anybody could access a curated list. Then we immediately did an immersion for our senior management team. And then we have put together a 2-year learning strategy, starting with an allyship training module that we actually are rolling out on December 10th. So this elevated intentional learning has been very intentional. We have a metric tied to this in that 100% of our managers by the end of 2021 need to have gone through all of the training. So that is our number one objective. Our number 2 objective around D&I is recruitment, retention, and development. In the recruitment, I'll just give you one quick example from each. In recruitment, we went in specifically and we changed our language on our website to be more inclusive. We took off limiters. For example, in our plants, we took off a degree requirement for any of our basic job entries so we could open up our ability to recruit a more diverse staff. We also now require diverse recruiting teams, and we require a diverse slate of candidates. In retention, we've put together a formalized mentoring program that's beyond just matching people. It's truly executives doing roundtable listening discussions with all of our associates on how they can successfully be retained at our company, and we are implementing those strategies. And then on the development side, we're doing talent development across all the enterprises so that somebody in California can go work at somebody in somewhere in our Crayola plants. And so now all the presidents are talking about individuals' development and talent development. So this is going to help our diversity and inclusion framework. Under products, content, and experiences, I'm going to show this to you in just a second. Really exciting stuff here. So I'm going to hold on that one because we've been doing a lot of really good diverse product and content on the movies and experiences. And then in advocacy and lobbying, I'm going to show you some of the partnerships. And then we're holding ourselves accountable. We built 20% of our next year's objectives, the incentives are tied to these these 4 strategies along with accountability. So if anybody wants to talk to me about this anytime, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to kind of walk you through how we did this. We hired Kristen Harris, this woman who you see her to the left. She is an engineer. She was in our supply chain. She is fabulous. I hired her to be the vice president of diversity and inclusion, and she's just killing it. And what she has done is brought forward for us the celebrations that we're a celebration company, and we are celebrating very active all of our diversity and inclusion, whether it's Juneteenth, Asian American Month, etc., Pride Week, Pride Month. And what you see here is the launch of Colors of the World. Colors of the World makes us super proud. We had about, I don't know, 10 or 12 flesh tones that we've had for 20 or 30 years. And what the team did is they went out and they worked with a makeup company and they got every color on a color palette that is possible for a skin tone. And we launched 32 more skin tone colors, coming out with 64. We've got paints, colored pencils, but the most beautiful compliment we get is when children feel like that they can see themselves when they color. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful color of the rainbow, and it makes us really, really proud. It also makes me proud that Kristen Harris, who you see here, said she actually pulled her MAC makeup palette out. She matched her color tone to the crayon, and she found it. So that was really exciting. Anyway, I'll keep on moving. We also made a statement on social media during this time, and we continue to create cards. This has all been part of our journey. We've always had very inclusive card lines, very inclusive products. So I'll just continue, Jessica. All right, then we move into this political climate in the last couple of months. And so, I mean, so far, what a year it's already been, right? But we move into this political climate and we know that we have to support the diversity amongst our employee base. Whichever side you vote, however you feel, we needed to support our organization. So what we did is we had a no meetings day on Tuesday the 3rd. We cleared everybody's calendar. Nobody had a meeting that day. People were encouraged to work the polls. We gave everybody the day off if they worked the polls that day. And we also had notaries at all of our plants. We helped people do the mail-in ballots, and we just made it super easy for our employees to vote. This got the most feedback from all of our employees across the nation about how proud they were, whether it was in Pennsylvania, California, New York, or here, that Hallmark did this. So we were super proud that we supported our employees with this. All right, I'm gonna move on because we are in countdown to Christmas now. This is basically our Super Bowl. And I hope you guys are watching the Hallmark channel 24/7. But we have launched some beautiful movies this year. And the first one I'm gonna talk about is this one called The Christmas House. And The Christmas House has a completely diverse cast and actually has the first gay couple lead. And we are really, really excited about how the press from last year, if you remember my journey, as I told you guys about last December versus this December, are two very different things. And Jessica, I think we have a sizzle reel to show.
What's your favorite Christmas tradition?
Darling, it's cold outside.
Obviously.
Obviously.
And I can see the snowflakes
Hot cider?
falling.
That sounds lovely.
Staring at the Christmas lights and counting down to when you're calling.
Oh, that sounds fun. Feliz Navidad.
But there's just one thing that I want this year.
Thought I'd transport us to a different time.
It's perfect.
Presents under the tree. Don't need snow and caroling.
I'm not missing this.
I don't need a lot of wishes. I just need you here this Christmas.
Everyone's light comes from someone else.
That's the connection I was talking about.
Stories by fireside, the warmth in the loved one's eyes. I know it's time to make some memories now that you are here.
They still feel like kids to me.
Visions under the tree, don't need snow and
This is such a nice tradition.
don't need a lot of wishes. I'm just glad you're here.
I've heard there's no place I can't see.
There's no place like home.
It's Christmas.
Thanks, Jessica. We have a new CEO. Her name is Wanya Lucas. Wanya she joined us about 4 months ago, and she's an amazing leader and has really helped us change the course of our movies, make sure there's a lot of diversity and inclusion, and the press has just been so kind to us. We just have been in the press the last couple of weeks, and it just, guys, coming full circle from a year ago, as I started and I shared with you guys what happened last December and kind of waking up to this nightmare and then turning around and this December seeing headlines that are just magical and wonderful, and the press being so kind, and actually the viewers just flocking to our channel. Our channel's got the highest ratings we've ever had. I think people are home. They were tired of all the vitriol that's happened this last year. And I think our channel gives everybody a respite away from that. And so I feel really fortunate to be part of a brand that brings hope and joy to people around the world, and that they're tuning in for this, and that they're embracing it as much as they have. So I'm just really thrilled for the Crown Media team. And then this, I wanted to just share with you guys, if it's helpful. These are some of the partnerships we've had for a very long time. We have very close relationships, and we rely on our Hispanic Corporate Council and our PFLAG and the National Urban League and the Human Rights Campaign, and they have been so good to us. Specifically, we were getting ready to shoot a commercial for Hallmark, and I'm going to show that commercial to you in just a second. And the commercial does feature a gay couple, and we depended on PFLAG to kind of give us some guidance on this. And so from a diversity and inclusion standpoint, sometimes we know that we just need to run it by some of our external partners. They were able to give us some really good feedback, and this is the commercial that was a result of it.
Hey, Mom. What are you up to?
Just putting up the tree.
We haven't decorated the house yet.
With all that's happening, and the move, and the baby, you're busy.
I just wanted to make our first Christmas feel extra special. Like you and Dad always do.
Merry Christmas, honey.
So we have some beautiful, beautiful commercials. One that features a Down syndrome young woman. We have, and then of course, many, many other commercials that you guys come to love. But I did handpick some of these specifically because I was asked to talk about what are we doing in terms of disruption, what are we doing in terms of addressing D&I, and what have we done kind of in this year 2020. And I thought the best way I could do that is to maybe just take you through the journey of this last year. And then yesterday we had the biggest event of the year. Yesterday we hosted almost 1,800 people around the globe. And we talked about those 5 pillars of the D&I. We had a D&I summit with every one of our executives, and they spoke for 2 hours to 1,800 people around the globe. It was the highest rated event that we've had all year long. And what happened was all of our employees said that their faith in all of us as leaders, their faith in our brand and their faith in our direction forward just went through the roof. So we've had a really good week. This December, like I said, feels so different than last December. But I hope that this journey, this year of disruption that I took you through was insightful, helpful, maybe some tools. You know, I will just say never waste a good disruption. In times like this, empathy and care really are the difference makers. Just picking up that phone and calling somebody on the other line. I can't tell you the number of times people just burst into tears when I did that. And I had no idea that they were going through something. And so, you know, and this journey never ends, although I do hope that 2020 does end at some point and this virus ends at some point soon. And, but I really am grateful for all the people I had with me this year. And I'm grateful for the innovation and the care that Hallmark got to put into the world in a crazy year like 2020. Thank you all for letting me be here with you. And I will now open it up for questions. Or comments. Or your favorite movie.
It's always hard on these Zooms. It's kind of hard to know when you should jump in or not.
Yeah, jump in. Margaret, thanks for the note in the chat. It's good to see you. Any comments or thoughts or questions?
I will ask a question since no one else is.
Great, thanks.
The commercial that you showed us that you requested feedback on, was that the finished commercial or was that prior to feedback?
I think that's the finished commercial, isn't it? Yeah, I think so.
Can you tell us any of like some of the feedback that they gave you?
Yeah, for example, there was some authenticity there in making sure that they had matching wedding rings, for example. So there was a subtlety about that we didn't observe. We actually had two different rings when we were getting ready to shoot the commercial. So, I mean, there were just some sensitivity things that were very helpful. There was kind of culturally nuance about the parents and how the parents would be responding. And so, you know, not only did we get feedback from PFLAG from a gay and lesbian, but we actually got feedback from the African American community as well. So kind of on both fronts. Thanks, Tammy.
Sabrina, I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciated you sharing the 5 pillars, and I took some notes while you were going through all of that. I am a little curious, when you talk about recruitment and retention, do you have any suggestions for smaller organizations of ways to increase diversity and suggestions on where people can go for recruitment?
You know, you bet, Judy. I will tell you, if you want to follow up with me, even just kind of via email or however, I'll send you a list. We're really active with specific universities. We're really active with specific organizations. We have a whole laundry list of organizations that we target to go out. And so depending on if we need IT help, if we need plants, and we're looking for diverse workers in certain areas, or we're looking for interns or whatever it is, we actually have very specific targeted places that we go out to try to get a diverse slate. And I mean diverse slate from everywhere, right? So, but we do lean into a lot of universities and partnerships. Jessica, I know we've got a whole laundry list.
Yeah, well, Sabrina, I was wondering maybe you could speak a bit about what we've heard in terms of just ensuring that those that do outreach to those universities and organizations are also diverse themselves, to try to invite the diverse candidates to come in, and also kind of how we thread that through all the way through the interview process as well.
Yeah, so Judy, what we've learned is when we send out our recruiting teams, literally if we have a white recruiter and we have a person of color, the students or the candidates will line up in front of our recruiter of the person of color, the people of color. If we don't send people of color out, we actually don't get those recruits. So it's very much a tactical measure we take very consciously, okay? The other thing that I would say is, to Jessica's point then, what we've done is we've started to now ask that 30% of our slate of candidates is diverse. So we don't just accept 2 or 3 white candidates. We actually wait and keep on pushing until we can get a diverse slate of candidates. It doesn't mean you hire the diverse candidate. It just means you need to have a slate of candidates that you're actually seeing a diverse slate. And so we've done that. And then what we've done is made sure that the interview team has some diversity, because as a diverse candidate comes through, if they cannot see themselves in the interview process, they are not going to come work for you. So we've really made sure we shored up those kind of 3 elements to improve our recruitment numbers. Did that answer your question, Judy?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I think
Sabrina.
we're seeing some really good comments in the chat box as well. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I know I always do a lot of college recruiting myself, but this year has been really weird. Did you find that it had dropped off with the virtual recruiting or job fairs? Because we did find a drop off in that.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, but there's still so many kids out there now needing jobs and people needing jobs, you know, that the hard part for us is which job, you know. So some folks do not want to be in a place where they feel dangerous, like out in the field, for example, where they're putting cards and they're having access to other people in a Walmart. But people will take a job with us in our data center or on our call center because it's safe and it's, you know, glassed off and all of those things. So it's been interesting to us what we can recruit for and then what we're struggling to recruit for right now. And yeah, the virtual interviewing and all of that it just doesn't have the same feel. It's really hard for people to get a feel for your brand and those types of things. So yeah, I know it's tough. If you guys have any ideas on what you're doing, I'm all ears.
Sabrina, somebody has asked in the chat if they can get a copy of the 5 pillars.
Sure, absolutely. How about Jessica, can I send the 5 pillars to you guys there at KCK, and you guys just send it out to the chamber group? Okay.
Yes, just send it to Caitlin and she can get it out to everybody else.
Yes, I'd be happy. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, and then, you know, underneath that, if anybody wants to ask any questions privately or whatever, don't hesitate to email me or get a hold of me, and I can talk you through the metrics that we have kind of underneath each one of those. We spent 2 hours on them yesterday with the whole company, so there's a lot of meat kind of within. One of the really exciting things, I don't know if any of you guys ever have shopped our Mahogany line, but Mahogany is one of our greatest card lines, and it is an African-American line full of just soul, and it's wonderful. But our movie channel now, Wanya, is looking at making Mahogany movies. And so it's really cool to see how our brands are going to start to kind of match up and marry. So when I talk about content and product, innovation just really can come from anywhere. So if you guys really push forward on your D&I strategies, it is amazing how much innovation can come out of your D&I strategies. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm not going to continue to just hold you hostage, but I will let you know that, you know, I'm available. I'm happy to help. Love seeing all your bright and shiny faces. Thanks for all you guys are doing right now in Kansas City. I know you guys are all major big time leaders as well. And so I'm sure you're dealing with very similar things that I'm dealing with. And if you have any advice for me, I'm completely open to that as well. And so, but thank you guys for giving me a chance to join all of you today.
Well, and thank you, Sabrina. I was inspired by your talk, and I think you summed it up very well when you said in your last slide, never waste a good disruption. That was a new phrase, and I think it's so appropriate. And I have to share a little bit of my personal story, not story, but the Hallmark movie channels. I am a horrible news addict. And so normally I watch various news channels on TV at night, and they can be really depressing these days. And so in December, I become a hopeless romantic, and I take time away from, from Fox News and the CNNs and all of that. And I watch Hallmark movie channel. And I saw there was a chat here that somebody said they were watching one of your movies at 5 a.m. this morning. I can relate,
Yay.
although not at 5 a.m. So anyway, they do bring joy and a relief from the world that we're living in today. I think one of the big things that I took away from your presentation, other than an inspiration that we can all make it through just about anything, is that, not to be afraid to think outside of the box, to use disruption and crises as a way of looking at things through a new lens, and to not be afraid to do that and to take some risks. And we all know, and probably you as much more than anyone, sometimes risks work and sometimes they don't, and they can be scary. But if you have the courage to do that and to think that way, great things can happen. So thank you for sharing your story, for the story of Hallmark. And I want to thank all of you who joined us today, and just wish you happy holidays. And we'll see you all again in the new year. So thank you for being here. And again, thank you, Sabrina.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.